It begins where the asphalt ends, in some of the most inhospitable land North America has to offer. Where big horsepower and taking chances is the name of the game. To be victorious, you must push the limits of sanity. This is Baja, California, Mexico, and this is the first ever Baja Bob's Mike's Peak Hill Climb Challenge. Hello, folks. I'm Sean Cermony, and alongside of me calling the action is motorsport superstar Davey Hamilton. Davey, wild race here, a little bit different from our normal stadium super truck race. Not only do we have some other classes, but this is one long sprint up the mountain here in the middle of the Mexican desert.
Just something different. Robbie comes up with crazy ideas, but it shows the diversity of these trucks. He can be stadium racing. He could be on asphalt IndyCar race courses. Now he can be out here in Baja.
Well, here we are. This is the course description. Is just a tad over 19 miles up this wild mountain. There are 7 different classes here, stadium super trucks being one of our premier classes, but also all the way down to ATVs and things. Each driver gets 2 runs up the mountain. You'll get their practice runs as well, but then 2 timed runs. The fastest of those 2 timed runs, that's going to be crowning the champion in each one of these classes. They got 2 shots to get it right.
Or wrong. This place is difficult. When it's a 19-mile course, Sean, so many things can go wrong with this. I mean, the environment at Baja in that 19 miles is from mountains, cliffs on both sides, some flat land, and you'll see just how difficult it is.
Absolutely, and here we see on board Robbie Gordon getting ready for his first run, but before we do that, let's take a look at this course, Davey, here, because it is absolutely a wild one.
It is a wild one and so much fun. The people that haven't been to Baja, this is the best we could do for you right here to give you an idea what it's all about.
Now, if you look here, we're miles and miles away from anything. The closest village or town would be Valley T, so we're starting here all the way at the start here. Now look at this course. Keep in mind, this is all uphill, and some of them are violent uphills, hard 90 degrees right and left-hand turns, as Robbie Gordon, run number 1, is going to demonstrate right now. We're going to watch a few highlights of a couple of our SST drivers here in run number 1 as we hop on board with the number 7 speed energy of Robbie Gordon.
What a great view of Robbie, his eyes, just seeing what he's going through, what he sees. And now this view, as you see how fast he's going. And like I said, you make a mistake, there's trees and cactus on both sides. It's a hard hit.
Absolutely. You know, there's sections here where there's maxing these SST trucks and trophy trucks and things out at well over 140 miles an hour. Keep in mind, the footage we're seeing right now, they're in a helicopter. Helicopters go pretty darn fast.
Exactly right.
You see on board, it's something you haven't seen from any of the SST drivers over the last few years. Look at his dashboard. Look at, he's got notes and things on the dashboard. It's hard to read, but I'm sure it's given him some pointers of what's what in some of the more difficult sections.
Well, and he's the guy. I mean, he's been through Baja so many times, and even at that, you still need that notepad to know exactly what's coming up and kind of what speeds. You know, I've rode Baja on a motorcycle before, and it was just so, you know, interesting on how difficult it is. And what I loved about it, look at the air he's catching right there.
Big air.
And like I say, one little wheel wrong or out to the side, and look at the consequences you run into.
Absolutely. Big rocks, and you know, behind these shrubs and behind this cactus and things, that's bad enough. If you ever seen a cactus or anything, they're trees. They're not, it's not like a cartoon with Yosemite Sam. They're trees, and they will take you out, but then you've also got all the rocks and the washouts and everything. The road was not regraded for this race. And, you know, so there's water crossings at times. You never know what you're going to get into. And just yesterday in pre-running, we had a couple drivers almost hit a couple horses and a couple cows.
And I love this view right here. This really gives you an idea. The helicopter gives you the speed perspective of how fast he's really going, but that in-car just really shows the difficulty, how narrow the course is, how rugged it is off to each side of him. So what a great view.
Absolutely it is, and what an amazing view inside with these Replay XDs. We're coming down to the end of run number 1 for Robbie Gordon and the number 7 Speed Energy Toyo Tire truck here. Just a small distance left to go as he goes wide open around this big sweeping right-hand turn and into the jump over the creek. And there he is to the finish line here at Mike's Sky Ranch. What a great run, 17:08. That's a good run up a 19-mile mountain.
For his first run, that's a really good run, you know, and this event really kind of brings it out in yourself. You're challenging yourself.
Yes.
You're trying to make yourself better. You're not out side by side bumping and running into each other. So there's a lot of pressure on you still, even though you're out there on that course by yourself. Sheldon Cree, as we see him taking off from the start line right now, he is going to try to beat that 17.08.
Well, that's the thing. You know, Sheldon Creed right now, you know, he wants the best time of everyone, but he's like a young Robbie Gordon. Nobody pushes themselves more than someone like Sheldon. You know, he could be the only one here today racing, and yet he'll go up the mountain 20 times, so he betters himself and betters himself. So he's going to be pushing it. Look at him on the edge. Look to the left side of that. You don't want to make a mistake right here. This is a fast section, too. That's several hundred feet down. At the peak of this turn right here, it's going to be a hard right-hander, and this is not where you want to find yourself in trouble. As Sheldon keeps it to the inside, keeps the skinny pedal down. Not a lot of safety barrier there. You're lucky to hit a rock.
Yeah, you see the results if you make a mistake right there. I mean, rugged rocks and a long ways down. And even if you just slide off a little bit, look at the rocks right here just on the edge. You know, that takes a tire out, breaks the suspension. These A-arms are very, very strong, but when you hit a boulder like that, that puts you right out of business.
Absolutely. If you hit a boulder like that, you look at him off to the side, off to the left, really pushing it here. He was working through that tight section. You see he's working the handbrake just a little bit right now. Second gear, running it hard in second. On the handbrake a little bit, kind of the SST short course style right there. You know, he said after his practice runs, he's like, I'm going short course. This is a drag race. I'm going as fast as I can the whole time. I'm not pacing myself, and it shows right now.
And I love how it shows him using that handbrake. What that does, just some rear brake, locks those back tires up a little bit, just to try to get the car to pivot or the truck to pivot a little bit, but so smooth and gradual on that. You don't just jerk it. It's a very, very light touch to it.
You took the words right out of my mouth. You know just as well as anybody out here, you've spent a good amount of seat time in these trucks. That handbrake works really well, but you don't just yank that brake. Just nice and easy.
If you do, you go backwards quickly. I found that out my first time. So, no, it's very, very gentle on that. Just nice, smooth, and easy. And Sheldon's one of the best at doing that, using that rear brake.
And look at that red Traxxas #1 truck. Our SST points champion, reigning points champion now.
Right. How about this helicopter can't even keep up with him? So that's a good sign that he's got some speed going.
Yeah, he is on it. He said there's a couple sections here where he says he's just so flat out. He's like, I know you shouldn't be going that fast, but this is what you got to do if you want to win. So impressive runs for these guys here. Here's our standings so far from run #1. We showed you some highlights there. Right now, 17:08 is on top of the leaderboard with Robbie Gordon. Sheldon Creed, just a few seconds behind him. Robbie Pierce, Matt Brabham, Todd Romano. We'll be seeing more of all of those drivers, SST drivers and others, coming up here in just a little bit. So far, SST highlights. Round #1 is in the record books. We're going to be back in just a little bit with more action from Mike's Peak.
Stadium Super Trucks on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Traxxas, the highest performance radio-controlled cars, trucks, boats, and helicopters. Only from Traxxas, the fastest name in radio control. And by Toyo Tires. We are Toyo, all or nothing.
Welcome back to Baja Bob's Mike's Peak Hill Climb Challenge. We've seen some highlights from our SSTs from run #1 so far, Davey Hamilton. But we've got some other classes here as well. Not just trophy trucks and things, but a lot of different classes. And we're going to highlight some of them right now as we hop on board with Juan Carlos Lopez, superstar in the desert racing community, and his RPM Racing trophy truck.
Yeah, and one thing I have to say is I look at these times, and I mean, look at this truck. I mean, it's made for the desert, but actually Robbie Gordon went faster.
The thing is, these trophy trucks, they're nasty, huge horsepower, 900, sometimes pushing 1,000 horse. The wheel travel is like nothing else, but they are a truck that's made to run the distance. They're made to go 1,000 miles for the Baja 1000 and for the 500. This is a 19-mile sprint. So I think some of the lightweights of some of the other classes helps as well. But here is Juan Carlos's son, Abdali Lopez. Abdali, no stranger to SST. Been on podiums with SST before, and very fast in anything he puts in. And just a kind little fellow when you talk to him. He puts that helmet on, and he is an absolute beast. So he is out here as well. Another RPM off-road sponsored truck, Abdali Lopez. And look at, he takes a different line. We haven't seen this yet. Really whooped out section right there. The SST trucks hadn't done it because the whoops get so nasty. They were swallowing the trucks up. Sheldon Creed tried that in practice and almost went end over end. Abdali Lopez basically keeps her pretty well decked through with all that wheel travel.
Well, that was barely wide enough for a motorcycle to go through, much less that big truck.
There's JT Taylor. JT in the open four-wheel class. Super talented driver, JT. And he comes from kind of King of the Hammers background and different things of that nature. We've seen him involved with us up our show in Costa Mesa. He's all over anything off-road and cool. And this is similar to, basically like an Ultra 4 vehicle. So JT putting in a good time so far. You're going to see this is kind of a cross between a trophy truck and an SST, sort of similar to this buggy, the Class 11 of Gerardo Iribi. And Gerardo, great guy. We've seen him also involved with a lot of different things with SST, especially at Sand Sports Super Show and things in Southern California and stuff. So Gerardo, not only is he a great driver and put in some great runs here this weekend, but it's also a lot more fun just having him around because he's just a great spirit, a lot of fun to have at the racetrack. We'll see. For those of you, I mentioned, Davey, the Sand Sports Super Show, and you've been a part of that with the Royal Purple team and things. Nick Tonelli here, he's a star there. The 1400s, that's like their Super Bowl of racing, the 1400s. So this is a desert truck made for, racing off-road, similar to like we're doing right now. But he does some short course racing with us and super trucks and things in that truck, and he is a fan favorite without a doubt, as he was this weekend as well, as he pushed it pretty hard for 2 runs.
Now here's where it gets crazy, right? When's the last time you've seen this, right? I mean, those things, the three-wheeler, it's been a long time. They don't make them. I don't know how long it's been
they outlawed them in 1987.
Yeah, but we're still racing them.
We're still racing them now. Well, this was the ATV class. And then he showed up with the three-wheeler, so we had to turn it to the unlimited ATV class. So Lyle Tonelli running it hard. He just bought this. He said, man, I've never got to go racing with my son, who we just saw in his 1400. Never got to do that before. I want to go racing. This is the great race to do. He goes out and buys that three-wheeler, comes to the race course, and off he goes. Now, this is something that's a little familiar to you, Davey.
No, I actually did a pre-run actually for the Baja 1000. So, I've experienced that 1,000-mile ride. Now, not in the race conditions. We went the week before, and I'll tell you, these guys are something else. I mean, they're so fast and in such great shape. And it took me a few days to do it. When this guy's doing it, just a little over a day.
Well, Danny Stinson, he was on the gas. Actually, we were just super impressed just watching him earlier on in his practice runs and things. So just seeing the highlights and stuff of him, Stinson put in a great run. And here is Miles Wyatt. He is in the Baja buggy, if you will. And Miles out here, you got to understand, this is something where to build that car, it's all your buddies. You might be having a couple cervezas in the garage, and you spend all year to build this really cool bug to go out, and that's not just your everyday grocery getter. I mean, that's a race car. That thing's cool.
That's
right.
Awesome. And it looks great. And like you said, these guys have fun. This event is about having fun. They traveled a long ways to get here to race 19 miles a couple times. So
there's Melanie Diaz, your driver in the Arctic Cat. Yes, very cool. Sherry Paxton, her co-driver as well. Sherry Paxton double duties, actually also working out of the Charlotte, North Carolina office with Robbie Gordon, and now she is navigating for Melanie Diaz in the Arctic Cat Wildcat 1000. We saw Mad Max Gordon actually racing that very same car just a few weeks ago as well. So a lot of test time in that vehicle, and that Arctic Cat's been running really well, and Melanie put in some great times.
Have fun, guys.
The next one, right?
Ian Joyner, only 11 years old.
That's awesome.
So 14 under 11 years old. You see him in there getting a fist bump from his dad as they're in the 4-seater, off and running right now. We got a little trouble with the door right off the bat.
Nobody in the back seat to shut the door, though.
So 11-year-old Ian Joyner and putting in some great times. Very impressive. Keep in mind, like we mentioned before, watching the SST highlights, this road, this 19-mile course, it's nasty. It's treacherous. And then you got an 11-year-old kid out here really getting to it, doing an amazing job. So there's a big future for him in off-road racing.
I love the new generation, the next generation coming up, these young kids.
And there you go, out of all the different classes here, Juan Carlos Lopez, topping his son, Abdali Lopez, JT Taylor, Gerardo Stinson on the 2-wheel, Nick Tonelli, right on down to Steve Blanchard having a DNF in his stock UTV. A lot of great racing, a lot of great classes here. Very exciting stuff. As we move forward, we're going to be back with more highlights in just a little bit. And welcome back, folks. Great racing here so far, Davey Hamilton. It's been wild. We've seen 7 different classes, 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, dirt bikes, you name it. But right now it's time to go into run number 2 of SST. This is the premier class here at Baja Bob's Mike's Peak Challenge. So you see here we had Valley de Trinidad. That's the closest village here in Mexico. That is a 19-mile course, twists and turns, rights and lefts. As you mentioned, cliffs on both sides in some sections. Really gnarly course here as we're watching from the helicopter, the number 1 of Sheldon Creed.
And even that, look how flat it is. There's no cliffs on each side, but he's going into that corner probably 120 miles an hour. And look how rough it is. It looks easy from the helicopter, but you get down, if you go off, you still have cactus, trees, brush, rocks. So even though it's not a cliff on each side, look at the challenge it still is.
And just a moment ago, as we were talking about that, he went through a cattle crossing. And there's another one right there. Those cattle crossings are only about 7 feet wide. You can barely fit a full-size vehicle through there. And so the ranchers and the farmers in the area, they give us the permission to come out and race on their land, their property. And they open up that gate just a little bit. But you got steel posts on both sides and things. And you're flat-footing through there well over 100 miles an hour, 120, sometimes 140 miles an hour. And if that truck wants to step out on you, that's a bad spot to have.
Bad spot. And by the way, cattle crossings. That means there's cows out here, and they're free. They can be in the road when you're coming. So you got to watch for animals as well.
Absolutely. We've got there's cattle, there's horses, there's wild horses out here. There's fans. The fans out here as well. We work very closely this weekend. As you see the speed of Sheldon Creed, because of these types of speeds, you have to work closely with military and things to try to keep the fans back off the course. So right now, Sheldon Creed, he's kind of the rabbit as we are on board with Robbie Gordon, and he is off to chase down Sheldon Creed. And so this is going to be the last and final run. Exciting things coming up right around the corner. And back, Baja, California, Mexico for Mike's Peak Hill Climb Challenge. As we see the race course, Davey Hamilton, one more time. Starting down, closest village would be Valley T. Now keep in mind, I did a run up the mountain yesterday, not really at speed, and I noticed if you happen to smell manure, you might need to slow down. That means there's a car, a horse, or a cow on the road. These guys don't have that opportunity yet at over 70 miles an hour average speed, touching over 140 at top speed. This is a wild ride.
Yeah, absolutely wild ride. Just imagine going down the interstate at 70 with the speed limit, smooth road, nice and easy. Look what these guys are having to do to have that average speed to be 70 miles an hour.
We're on board here with the red Traxxas number 1 of Sheldon Creed. Sheldon Creed, he is ultimately, for lack of better terms, he's the rabbit right now, because who's behind him, chasing him for the best time possible, is Robbie Gordon. We saw in the highlights earlier on, Robbie Gordon with the fastest time from run 1. Sheldon Creed says, hey man, I've got some more left in the tank. I know I can go faster. And so he is going to really be pushing. As you see him go through that section, every once in a while you'll see those white vehicles. Those are the rugged radio vehicles. Those guys are in contact with the helicopter and the start and the finish and the drivers and things. So keeping safety at its best out here. To see struggling there a little bit, Sheldon Creed running in a little bit deeper than he wanted to there.
Well, one thing about this course as well, normally we're on a closed circuit, IndyCar circuit, 2 miles long, whatever. You make a mistake in one little corner, you lose 2 or 3 tenths.
Yep.
This is 19 miles. You make that one little, he's only a few tenths off of Robbie, so in the first run. So that one little mistake, that the course really, really well, and normally what they do, now you're doing this one long 19-mile run. You can make so many mistakes and lose so much time. All
the difference in the world. Let's take a moment, just listen to this truck eat as Robbie Gordon is just wide open here in his Toyota Tires Arctic Cat 1000 number 7. Let's chop the throttle a little bit. Hear the helicopter chasing him. As you mentioned earlier, we all know helicopters go pretty darn fast, and when it's struggling to keep up with the truck, you're on the gas. What a great shot right there off the rear view.
That is a great shot right there, just showing. And by the way, one reason we do it one at a time, look at that dust behind.
Yeah.
Now imagine these guys racing Baja. It's all for one, man. You're fighting in terrain like that and having to put up with that dust. But right now, these trucks just flying through. Oh, man, that air right there is just awesome.
And, and it gives it no justice, even though the helicopter's only like 100, 150 feet up. I mean, right there, we were actually checking that in practice yesterday. That's well over 200 feet in distance jumping off that section right there. So when these guys are flat-footing off there, that's a really wild ride, man.
And one thing that I said earlier in the show, so impressive with these trucks to be able to race on little the Costa Mesa event.
Yeah.
You know, the Sand and Sports Show, just a little tiny bump and run. In Vegas, we had a course bump and run.
Ring.
Then we have an IndyCar course. Then you come here, and these trucks can handle all of it and put on just a great show.
And they absolutely can. You know, they're built so well and designed after, actually designed after the Traxxas RC truck, which is usually the toy is built second. This time the toy was built first, and then the SST trucks were designed after that. But then also, how about the DOT Toyo tires? I mean, these tires putting the power to the ground in the sand in the desert, on the asphalt, and everywhere. Those tires working all over the place for these Stadium Super Trucks. So very impressive for Toyo as well. Here is Matty Brabham. Matty Brabham, his first time racing in the desert. An open wheel guy, superstar in Stadium Super Trucks, but more time on the asphalt with Super Trucks as well. And here's Friday on board. Replay with Matty Brabham here. As you see him, like I said, this is not what he's normally used to. What's right? What's left? Where should I be? Oh, and he kind of gets heavy into the pucker brush.
Yeah, well, he got some in his lap and around his helmet. Here's his Saturday run right now.
And the biggest thing here is remembering each one of these turns. Some are hard 90, some are not. Do I go right? Do I go left? Yesterday I went left. Today I'm going right. Matt says he's like, oh, back off into the pucker weeds again. Wild ride, just missing that washout as well. Wicked ride for him. George Anthill had an opportunity to catch up with Matty Brown.
Matt, a little different than you're used to the road course stuff on the asphalt, and here you are on the dirt. I think you got it figured out.
Yeah, getting there. It took me a little while. You know, these guys are used to coming up here in Baja and running up the roads like that, and I think that's probably the scariest road I've ever seen in my life. So no, it was pretty fun. I mean, I just kind of got a bit ahead of myself this morning and put it off in the weeds, and I was kind of happy just to come through this afternoon, have no incidences, and just make my way up the top.
You think you like the Baja stuff down here? Pretty cool?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's the coolest thing ever. I mean, obviously I grew up from a road course background and, with my family and everything. And, I mean, this is all brand new to me, and, I love it. It's so cool. I mean, this is pure racing. You kind of drive by the seat of your butt. You know, you're not so much looking for markers and braking points and curbs, and you're not doing the same lap over and over. You know, it's just a completely new animal. I got a big learning curve to go before I get, anywhere near to Robbie or Sheldon, but, I had a great time out here. It's been an awesome week, and it's been a fantastic event.
All right, so there we hear from Matty Brabham. Wild ride for him so far this weekend. Now we are with Todd Romano. He's in the Toyo Tires truck. We haven't seen anything yet from Todd. Todd's got some seat time to Stadium Super Trucks. He's also raced trophy trucks as well. Has quite a bit of experience down here in Baja, so hopefully we'll be able to take this Toyo Tires truck and make this run count.
Yeah, he needs to actually. He missed a Friday finish.
Yep.
So this is another chance. Off course a little bit. And as you say, he's got 19 miles of this now. Not to do that again, right?
And that's early on in the run too to start making those mistakes, because that gets in your head. Now the whole time you're telling yourself calm down, telling yourself speed up. And, so this type of racing, well, like any type of racing, but this, you're out here by yourself. You don't have anyone to pace yourself off of or what have you. You're not even seeing the dust of the next competitor. So am I going fast enough? Am I going too fast? Am I taking too many chances? Or am I not taking enough chances? And it's a mental battle when you're out here.
Absolutely. That's why I decided to come and be with you. Let's call this thing, right? Instead of being in that truck and watching these guys go off.
I have yet to get one cactus in any part of my body since we've been down here all week.
Good so far.
It's Todd Romano here, pushing it pretty good through this tight section there. As you see, there is the start line. There's the royal purple number 30 of Robbie Pierce. Now, Robbie Pierce, he's a guy that's spent a lot of time down here in Baja and things. This is his first time, like everyone, in an SST down here, but hopefully his experience is going to help with that royal purple truck.
Yeah, no, he loves Baja, and that's why, obviously we put him in this truck to let him, with his experience, try to get this thing towards the front, and this is what he thrives on. He likes this better than the short course for sure.
Well, yesterday after a practice run, had an opportunity to come down the hill with him in his pre-runner, and we're just cruising, having a good time. What a smile on his face. He's one of motorsport's biggest treasures, Robbie Pierce. He's just such a rad guy and talented driver, and he's raced Australia with us here in the States and all over. So here we are thus far with the standings for run number 2 for the SST class. Matty Brabham up on top with an 18:27. Robbie Pierce in the Royal Purple truck with an 18:57 and a 19:54 for Todd Romano. Keep in mind, 17:08 for Robbie Gordon. We'll be right back to see if he bests that time. All right, here we are back for Baja Bob's Mike Beek Hill Climb Challenge right outside of Valley T, a few hours from Ensenada, Mexico, Davey Hamilton. And we've seen some wild stuff so far from several different classes. And if you want to see geographically where exactly in the world we are, here you have it. Like I said, just a few miles outside of Valley de Trinidad. And this is the 19-mile course full of horses, cows, cactus cliffs, and big high speeds. As there we are looking out of the helicopter of the number 1 Sheldon Creed and his red Traxxas truck.
Well, this kid gets it done, doesn't he? He can drive anything, and he has a future not only in this, but in all motorsports, I think. And just to watch him tackle this is the first time I've seen him up here.
Yeah.
So he does a great job.
You know, it was actually not too long ago. We were out at Paul Morris's place outside of Surfers Paradise, Australia, and I was on the drift pad, and the car sitting on the wrong side of the vehicle, and I was struggling a little bit, and I was getting upset. And Sheldon Creed goes, "Take it easy, man." You know, he's riding shotgun with me and helping me out. And he's like, "How do you think I feel?" He's in so many different types of race cars just every week.
Yeah.
And it's a learning curve nonstop, and that does nothing but help, and it shows because everything he gets in, you give him a little bit of seat time, and he's on the gas. And look at him now, one of his first runs ever up Mike's road here to the Sky Ranch, and he's giving Robbie Gordon a run for his money.
That's right. Well, we know he's going to do that. Oh, a little sideways there. As you can see, he makes mistakes too, but you know he knows how to recover so well. Just right there. Most people would panic a little bit, slow it way down.
Yep.
He stays on the gas and just keeps right on going.
And that's the name of the game, and no one does it better than Sheldon. He just does not panic. Look, here's one of the cattle crossings. Oh, only about a foot on each side right there of just steel in like 12 by 12 pieces of wood right there. You're pinned out right through it. You can't be washing out or making mistakes there. Rear end steps out on you. You're done for the day.
And that's a big hit, by the way. Those posts are massive, and as you said, they're so skinny. When you're coming up on them at those speeds, it even gets skinnier yet. I mean, it feels like you're not going to make it through, actually.
And as we've mentioned before, and I'm going to bring it up again just because it's a fun, wild fact, when those gates are open and the ranchers open them up for us to race through, that means there's cattle everywhere.
There's cattle everywhere.
And there
we've
has
seen them.
Yeah, but we've had competitors almost hit them. We almost hit them in the Arctic Cat side-by-side the other night. So there's all kinds of cattle and horses and cows and spectators, and not to group them all together, but you never know what's going to be out in the middle of the track.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's one reason, obviously, we go one at a time. We try to scare all that off the course, right? So when the next guy comes up, it's clear and good to go.
Look at Sheldon Creed and his number 1 reigning champ here in Speed Energy Stadium Super Trucks, presented by Traxxas, as he's pinned out through this section right here. Sheldon doing everything he can to best his earlier time. Robbie Gordon in run number 1 having a faster time with a 17:08. Sheldon Creed just off that with a 17:29 from run 1. This is run 2, our last and final for the weekend for Sheldon Creed, and he's trying to make up those last few seconds. See him downshift.
Downshift into the handbrake, and then back to the steering wheel. And you know, he definitely stayed busy in there, and I love that shot of just watching what the driver has to go through.
Yeah.
And how much work it really is, and the things that you have to do, and just making sure your shift points are right, making sure that you don't hit too much rear brake, as we talked about before. It's a lot of work to be done in there.
Yeah, you're staying mobile in there. You're not just sitting still. You're not just riding along in your truck. As we now are riding along with Robbie Gordon in his Arctic Cat Wildcat 1000 number 7. We said earlier in the show we're going to see Robbie in a couple different trucks. We saw him earlier in run 1 in his Speed Energy truck. Now we see him in run 2 as he goes through this cattle crossing. Looked like a little bit slower maybe than Sheldon Creed did.
I think Sheldon definitely, he had a little lift there, which is not a bad idea as far as I'm concerned, but a little slower through there than Sheldon.
Now is that going to be, is calm and smooth going to be the fast setup here? Normally, yeah, it is, but this is not your normal type of racing. This is not just Baja racing or regular SST racing. This is Baja racing in the desert, but it's a sprint.
That's right.
So is being calm and cool going to be the hot setup? I think for Robbie Gordon, he's probably thinking it is. I've got the experience. I've got more trips up and down this hill. I know it better than Sheldon, but at the same time, Sheldon, you can't take anything away. The amount of talent that young man has is just ungodly, and so maybe pushing it's going to be the way to go for Sheldon.
Well, and with Sheldon, you got to throw in bravery. A lot of bravery.
A lot of bravery.
I mean, he's young. Robbie, he's been upside down, hurt. He knows the limits of these trucks. And one thing, this race is no different than any other race. It's all about being really smooth and not overdriving the vehicle.
Right.
You overdrive it, you find yourself off course just that little bit. And I think that's where Robbie's consistency and knowledge just brings him to the front.
Well, we see him great shots from the helicopter right now of Robbie Gordon. If you watch him, he's for the most part staying in the middle of the course, picking some good lines. I don't necessarily if he's looking for smooth lines as much as he's just looking for the fast line. You know, let the truck eat, let those King shocks do their work, let those Toyo tires do their work, and just let that truck eat. As he almost tabletops that, step off, kind of a motocross style section right there. And he's on the gas, goes over the Palapa, wide open, some big air right there. Some fans going crazy. Let's look at that big rock, just missing that huge rock. And if you notice, I'm sure you did as our trips up and down the hill, all kinds of scars from different race vehicles on that rock.
Oh, you know, there's been beatings all along that road, that's for sure.
Look at this beautiful shot coming in from the helicopter. That's an oasis in the middle of the Mexican desert. Not only is it our finish line, but it's also Mike's Sky Ranch. You see the beautiful trees and the lawn and the pool, and what a wonderful place, full open bar, and very exciting place here at Mike's Sky Ranch. Always a good time.
Thank God Mike built this place, right? It's
Yeah.
all needed for all of us, and it's such a fun place to be, and you had a chance to talk with him.
I'm here with Mike Leone Jr., the owner of Mike's Sky Rancho here in Mexico. 27 rooms, almost 50 years in business, and just a beautiful place. And now the host of Baja Bob's Mike's Peak Hill Climb Challenge. How much fun is it to have everyone here at your place this weekend?
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's nice to have all these people who likes to race, you know. So what can I say?
How important is the racing community and the off-road community to you and your establishment and your family in these last 50 years?
Oh, they've been very great, very good. All the racers, everybody is very, very nice people.
Well, these are very nice people as well, and if you have an opportunity to come down here to Baja, whether it be in a side-by-side trip or a surfing trip or what have you, make your way out here to Mike's. It's a beautiful place, and it's my happy place, and we'd love to see you here sometime. And here we are back, hours outside of Ensenada, Mexico, on board with the #1 Sheldon Creed, and this is the last final bit of his second run here this weekend up Mike's Road.
Yeah, back to doing what he does best, and that's behind the steering wheel. We'll see. He has a bit of an uphill climb to try to beat Robbie Gordon. He's the guy he's chasing right now.
Well, you know, as we left earlier on, we were saying, you know, there are two different styles, at least today, or this weekend out here. Robbie Gordon's very fine-tuned, and Sheldon Creed's pushing it. He's only got a few turns left to go, and so we see him here going a little wide. Maybe lost a few tenths of a second right there, and not a lot left. He gets off a little bit there as well, so a little bit of struggles in the last few turns. Wide open there, over the finish line, jumps over the river, and that completes run #2, his last and final run up the mountain here at Baja Bob's Mike's Peak Hill Climb Challenge for the #1 Traxxas driver of Sheldon Creed. Be curious to see where his time was. Look at that, definitely got off the road somewhere because that truck was looking really nice.
It didn't look like
Davey.
that when he left.
No.
For sure got off course, but like a little bit of body damage is all it looks like. Doesn't look like it hurt anything else, but you know when that happens, it costs you some time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the truck looked real nasty and mean coming over the finish line there, but we'll be curious to see where we're at time-wise with Sheldon Creed. As he said, he had a little bit left in his bag of tricks for run #2, and we'll see how deep down that bag he dug. As right now we are watching Abdali Lopez. Abdali Lopez is in the orange RPM off-road truck. Abdali, no stranger to racing SSTs, and of course he is a absolute superstar in off-road racing down here in Mexico and Baja. He's an X Games SST gold medalist, and a superstar down here. He's won the 500, won numerous races down here in Mexico. So this is kind of his piece of pie right here.
Yeah, well, a different division, as you said, different class, but a guy that knows what he's doing. And, and look how smooth he is. He really is, you know, I mean, he gets right to the edge of every corner. He tries to make a straightaway out of this course as much as he possibly can, and he knows exactly what he's doing.
Well, and the big thing is, I mean, these trucks are made for this, but as we were talking earlier on in the show, is that the trophy trucks, you know, big horsepower, 900 to 1,000 horse, but they are built, they're heavier, and they're physically larger, and they're built to take 1,000 miles of beating, not necessarily for a 19-mile sprint. So the differences between them and an SST, less wheel travel, less horsepower, but much lighter, smaller, more nimble. So, you know, kind of, if you took both those trucks put together, at best of both worlds, it'd be amazing. But you see Abdali Lopez right now, he's pushing that RPM off-road truck right to the wall.
Well, one thing with these guys, too, when you run the 1,000, you have spare tires and a lot of things that go with it that you have to fix. And you can see a spare tire right there in the back of Juan's truck. That when they break down out in the middle of nowhere, you have to fix it. So that's part of the weight.
Yeah, absolutely. And so right now we see Juan Carlos Lopez, that is Abdali's father. Juan Carlos out here also running an RPM off-road truck. And the cool thing is, you know, the Baja 1000 is right around the corner as well. You know, that's coming up in just a couple of weeks. So these guys, I'd have to imagine that, you know, they're also using this as a bit of a shakedown for the trucks. You know, I mean, there's no better way to test a truck than go out there and just get it done. You can go out and run it as hard as you want, but you can never practice and you never test at a race pace unless you're racing. So this is a little sprint for them.
In the proper element as well. I mean, this is part of the course a lot of times. This is part of the course. So, yeah, you go out there and you see what it does, see how it handles, see what kind of time you are compared to everybody else. So it's a good test for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great group they are. Abdali and Juan, just good guys and extremely talented drivers. And the name Lopez is no stranger down in Mexico for off-road racing. These guys are legends and they're superstars, and the people love them. And as I mentioned, you know, have his son Abdali bringing home an X Games gold medal. We asked Abdali the other day, actually, USAC's Jason Smith said, hey man, you still wear your gold chain from winning the X Games when you go out to the bar? He says, sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, perfect. Hey, why not? It's the X Games, and he's a gold medal winner. So look at that. There's that cattle crossing again. That these trucks are even a little bit wider to slide through there. He slowed down a little bit as well, but that is a challenge, and that's something you got to pay attention to, where those cattle crossings are, and make sure that you get through it clean.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, that's a wide truck to do it, so they got to back pedal a little bit, but it's a wild ride all the way up this mountain with or without them. So here we are with our rundown of all of our classes outside of SST after run number 2 here at Baja Bob's Mike's Peak Hill Climb Challenge. Juan Carlos Lopez in his Unlimited Desert Truck, 17:49. Great run for him, and Abdali as well. As you see on down, JT Taylor having a little bit of a struggle in run number 2 with breaking apart. But we've got a moment to go down to George Anthills. He caught up with Sheldon Creed.
Sheldon, I know was going for a great run. You had a little problem.
Yeah, I just pushing as hard as I could right there, just trying to catch Robbie, and went off. Still ran 17 minutes 13 seconds, which is my best time all weekend, but pretty sure I gave up at least probably 10 to 15 seconds when I went off and I had to turn back around and get back on, so I wasted quite a bit of time going there. And no, not too many mistakes other than that. I just had that one get off, and other than that, it was pretty good. I tagged a tree here at the end, but other than that, it was a really good run. Just I took all the lines I had and went as fast as I could. So pretty good for I don't know, that was my 6th or 7th time up the hill, where I know a lot of these guys have a lot of runs up the hill. So pretty happy with what we accomplished this weekend, and can't wait to come back.
Sheldon, let's talk a little bit about you used the Arctic Cat to really help you kind of learn the course.
Yeah, I know I brought the Arctic Cat down to pre-run a little bit. Did some runs the first day we got here, and then yesterday I woke up early, and me and my buddy Mark McNeil just did a couple runs up the hill and just trying to learn it more. So that's what it really comes down to is knowing the course, and Robbie obviously knows the hills. So the Arctic Cat definitely helps a lot, and we're going to keep using it for pre-running, and hopefully we'll beat Robbie at this one day.
All right, great job. Once again, Sheldon Creed.
a wild ride for Sheldon Creed, but now Sheldon was the rabbit. Now we've got the last bit of the course here for Robbie Gordon, his Arctic Cat Wildcat 1000 number 7. And he looks like he's really starting to let her eat now.
He is going after it. And how about what Sheldon says? He probably lost 10 or 15 seconds.
That's
you
huge.
know, so that's a huge amount of time, and we'll see how far, you know, Robbie could beat him or not beat him. We'll see right here.
It's almost like Robbie heard him say that, because it seems like this last little bit he's really on the gas here.
Yeah, absolutely. No, he's not wasting any time. He feels confident on this second run.
Here he goes, Robbie Gordon, last and final time to the finish line for this weekend. Who's going to be on top of the podium, Robbie Gordon or Sheldon Creed? We'll see when we come back.
Stadium Super Trucks on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Arctic Cat, creating the ultimate off-road riding experience. Arctic Cat, share our passion. And by KMC, precision for imprecise environments.
And here we are, Robbie Gordon and his officials. They show a replay of his last few turns. Big race in here, Davey Hamilton. We got a victor.
And he pulls it off, right? Sheldon said he lost maybe 10, 15 seconds. Well, I think Robbie beat him by more than that. So we'll see what the final score is here in a minute.
With 16 minutes, 51 seconds, 20 seconds better than Sheldon Creed, Robbie Gordon crowned the Baja Bob's Mike's Peak Hill Climb Challenge winner.
Robbie, your third run up the hill, I think it's your fastest.
Yeah, that was a 16:51. That was a good run. I blew 2 corners, so I'm going to say we left another maybe 5 seconds, you know, on the opportunity clock. You know, as we run more, the track's getting better. We're learning the lines better, but that is just a whole lot of fun. I'd like to thank everybody from Mexico that have helped us with our permits and licensing and stuff like that. Obviously, Mike Sky Rancho and all the Hitos that are over here allowing us to race on these roads. We really love the Mike's Road. It's been a lot of fun, and look forward to coming back in 2017 and doing it again.
And there is our leaderboard. This is the overall for all the classes. So some exciting racing there. Robbie Gordon, he bests the leaderboard with a 16:51. Sheldon Creed, sadly for Sheldon, because he wants to win everything and often does, with a 17-minute, 13-second. But how about the Lopez's and their trophy trucks?
Yeah, absolutely. Great job by those guys. I think one of the best things that we heard out of Robbie Gordon, see you again in 2017, right? I mean, we're going to be back here doing this again.
Absolutely. It's going to happen again, and congratulations also to JT Taylor. Had some bad luck, but had one great run as well, which put him up towards the top of the leaderboard. And there's Robbie Gordon hopping out after a 16-minute, 51-second run. That's almost 17 minutes of just absolute chaos as he climbs out of the truck. So very exciting stuff. As you mentioned, 2017 is going to be bigger. It's going to be better. There's going to be more classes. Robbie had mentioned, hey, if a group of guys shows up with 4 or 5 of something, we'll run them.
Yeah, how about that? When it's this big, your first event, you know that Robbie's going to step it up and make it bigger and bigger for 2017.
The course is going to be gnarlier. Things are going to be better, and more classes, more racing, and it's going to be absolutely wild. So some great stuff here this weekend. The first time ever for Mike's Peak, and what an absolute run it was for all of the competitors here. So a lot of fun up here at Mike's Peak here in Baja, Mexico. So for George Anthill, Davey Hamilton, I'm Sean Sermony. We'll see you next time in 2017 here at Mike's Peak. 1, 2, 3, make some noise.